to our final Career Development Week again, event. And I think a lot of you, how many were at the career fairs yesterday? Let's see, a few of you, okay. So, that was really a fun time. So definitely keep that in mind for next year. We'll do it about the same time next year. So as will we do the whole Career Development Week. We'll do this again in late February next year, and definitely hope that you all have gotten something out of it. I know that a lot of your teachers are giving extra credit, which is that's a great thing. But hopefully along the way you picked up some good stuff too. We kind of sort of saved the best for last. Jeremy is somebody I've gotten to know pretty well over the last couple of years, and he has a business called Epic Mission, and he'll tell you a little bit about that. I won't go too deep into it, but Jeremy is based out of Huntington, but he's been all over the place. He spent about 20 years in Charlotte, came back home, and really has a passion for serving this area and serving the people of this area. Jeremy speaks, he just recently began teaching at Marshall University. He speaks all over the state. I mean, just every time I call Jeremy up, I say, "Where are you at today?" He's like, Morgantown. Or sometimes he's not even in West Virginia. Sometimes in Columbus or back down to Charlotte or somewhere. So he's really an in-demand speaker, and I think that you all are going to get a lot out of this presentation. It's really interesting. It's for all of you who are maybe you know what you're going to go into, maybe you don't quite know what you're going to go into yet, and you're still exploring some options. I think no matter what place you are, Jeremy's going to give you some good information to take with you. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Jeremy Turner to you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nothing like putting a little pressure on the speaker, right? Got your hopes all built up. I'm going to do my best not to disappoint you today. I do appreciate you making time. You could have chosen to do other things, but you chose to spend a few minutes with me. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that it's time well spent for you. Our topic today, as you can see, is crafting your story by finding your why. And at this point, you may have no idea what that means. And so it's part of my job to take you on a little bit of a journey over the next hour or so, help you understand intimately what that means. Not just what is your why is important, but how can you find that? So I won't bore you too much with stories about me. If you want to read more, if maybe you're having trouble sleeping, you can visit our website. You can read my bio, and you'll be fast asleep soon. But here's a little bit about me. As you can see, I am a Huntington native, and like far too many people, after college, I left the state. That's good and bad. It's bad that I think that we're losing so many people, but for me personally, having left West Virginia really prepared me to come back and be more effective on my return. I lived in Charlotte for about 20 years, was involved in a whole bunch of cool things, at least I thought they were cool. Worked for very large international for-profit and non-profit organizations, worked a lot in the startup space, startup for-profit, startup non-profits, a lot of ministries and such. So I got to see a whole bunch of things, and I hope that some of those things that I saw and heard and learned and experienced will be applicable for you. Appreciate Craig giving you all the handout. Don't read too far ahead. I might throw something at you. I am a Marshall grad. I appreciate you allowing me on campus. I like it here. This is a great place. I also have an MBA from LSU Shreveport with a focus on entrepreneurship and family enterprise. I work a lot in entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur. If you all want to talk entrepreneurship, one of my favorite topics as well. I've been involved in something really cool the last couple of years called the West Virginia Governor School of Entrepreneurship. It's a very intensive 3-week summer experience for rising 10th, 11th, 12th grade students from around our state. It's free for them to attend, but in 3 weeks we take these high school kids and we pour absolutely everything we possibly can into them to teach them about entrepreneurship in this sort of boot camp style process. It's pretty awesome. We've got year 4 coming up this year, and I'm hopeful that I get a chance to do that again. It's pretty rewarding. I do teach at Marshall as of this semester. It's sort of a lifelong dream of mine. My dad taught at Marshall for about 40 years, so I get an opportunity to walk in his footsteps a little bit, so that's kind of cool. I teach Introduction to Entrepreneurship there. good times for me. Hopefully the students feel that way also. I'm involved in some things at Marshall as well. I'm on the board for their Division of Marketing, MIS, and Entrepreneurship, and also on the board for their brand new Center for Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation, or the I-Center. You'd like to hear more about that. You all have a wonderful innovation center here. Hopefully you're making wise use of that. I'm the co-founder of Huntington's first co-working space called CoWorks. If you're not familiar with what co-working is, check out coworkswv.com, learn a little bit more. And what I do most of the time is Epic Mission. And you'll learn a little bit more about what is Epic Mission, and you're always welcome to visit the website. You can see it at the bottom of our slides here. With that, let's jump in and get going. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what is your why. It may not be quite what you think it is. We're going to get into why matters. It's kind of a weird question. Phrasing of it sounds odd, but it'll make more sense as we go through. And we're going to talk about how to find your why, and really, of course, why that matters. How we connect with others, and how to craft your story, your own story. We're going to do that today. I'm going to walk you through a quick process with the understanding, and I'll hit this again later on. Your story is meant to change, grow, and evolve through time as you do. Don't expect to come out with a perfectly polished story. For one, perfection is an unrealistic human expectation. So just take the word perfect out of your vocabulary, at least for today, maybe for the future. So that's some of my counsel for you as we get started. And of course, we'll get into some next steps for you, and I'll take any questions that you have also. My contact information, Travis has it. You can hit us up through the website. Always happy to help if you have a question. It's our belief that help doesn't always have to come with an invoice. So if you need something, reach out. We'll see what we can do to help. That's part of why I moved back and brought my firm with me. So as it relates to your future and what you're hoping for, you may be hoping for a nice, straight, easy path like this. You're in school, you're learning things, and you're hoping that everything's going to be all green lights, no stoplights, nice, straight path. But the reality is, it's probably going to look more like this. At least mine did. Most people's paths aren't straight. We oftentimes are taught that success is this nice, straight, linear path. You do this plus this equals success. One of the things that you'll find is that oftentimes success can be found stacked on top of failure. So I would encourage you to embrace the journey, learn what you can, continue to fail forward, and move on and grow. At this point, you're developing all kinds of mad skills. I can use cool words too, right? I'm not that old. But you're developing also your skill set. You're building out your skill set in hopes that you're better prepared for the future. But it's not enough just to learn things. You've got to begin to apply things. And I think that, at least for me in my experience in working with high school students and college students, and remembering my own feelings being in a similar space, this was what I was frustrated with. Because I was learning things, but I didn't know exactly how to apply these things as they related to my future. You know, what was I going to do for the next 40, 50 years of my life? How did I figure that out? No one could really answer that for me. There were all these sort of coy answers of, go to school, get good grades, get a job. Okay, well, that's pretty general advice. What about me? What about my story? What about who I am? No one could really answer that. So what we're going to take you through today is more about me figuring out things for myself and then sharing it out in hopes that it might help you figure some things out as well. So we've really got to begin to act on what we know, practice what we claim to believe. But how do you know what you believe? How do you know what other people believe? When it comes to our own life story, our own mission, our own what we choose to do with our lives, trying to figure out all these things is complicated. And what I found is that, as Einstein said, there's genius in simplicity. Unless we can really begin to connect with other people and tell people who we are and what we're about, and do that in a simple manner, everything gets lost in translation. It becomes a big jumbled mess, and we miss out on great opportunities to connect with other human beings because we don't really get them, because they don't really get themselves. So it's only when you can really begin to communicate things in a very simple manner, break things down simply, that you're able to maintain the power of communication. Focus is what's going to help you do this. At this point, you could still be trying to figure out everything. You know, maybe you are in your freshman year or sophomore year, or maybe you're getting ready to graduate. There's no real time limit on trying to figure things out. There are many people that are living these quiet lives of desperation into their 40s, 50s, and 60s because they've never been able to figure it out. So the sooner that you can find some kind of a focus, the better off you are. And so that's part of what we're going to do today is help you find some focus. Because really the two best days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. The day you were born and the day you find out why. Maybe you already know your why. If you do, then you're one of the very lucky few at this point. Today, hopefully going to help you distill that down a little bit so you can communicate it more clearly. You may have some ideas kind of rolling around in your head, but want to take those ideas and cultivate them a little bit, polish them up a little bit. So today we're going to start with why. Is anyone familiar with Simon Sinek and his amazing work on why? Anyone ever seen? You are? Excellent. Good. Well, we've got one. I'm going to take you through a short video here, as long as this is connected. There we go. Cool. We're going to watch about 8 minutes of this, and I'll catch you on the other side of it. It's always good to have a helping hand.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet, they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in the pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight? The Wright brothers beat them to it. There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operated it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. And nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and the figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, you know, there's, if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And nowhere else is there a better example of this than with the Wright brothers. Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley. And
we're going to leave the mystery of Samuel Pierpont Langley for you to discover. What you just watched was part of the third most viewed TED Talk of all time, Simon Sinek and his Start With Why piece. I would encourage you to check it out. You'll watch the rest of it. Watch it again. It's only about, I think, 18 minutes long total. We watched about the first 8 minutes of it. I believe it's something that, I know for me, I've watched it dozens and dozens of times, and it impacts me a little differently each time. It brings me a little closer to redefining my why. Why is important? This isn't just about sales. You know, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Sales is more than just financial transactions in business. Every conversation that you have is a sale. You're trying to convince someone of something. Maybe you're trying to sell that you could be a good companion to them, you could be a loyal friend, or you're their next best employee ever. If you don't know why you do what you do, you're not going to be able to explain that very clearly. When you can understand why you do what you do, what you're all about, and you can communicate that simply, that gives you an enormous amount of power and leverage over other people around you, because most people don't know why they do what they do. They focus on only the what. Why is extremely important. Life can be hard. You may have seen this already in your lives. I know I have. Having something to focus on, something that drives me, something I can be passionate about, that allows me to grind through the times that suck. If you go to work only for a paycheck, life's going to be hard for you. Because as the bumps come and go, you're not going to feel invigorated to get up and go grind. If you can discover why it is that you're doing what you're doing, now you have something that most people don't have. Right. So why does why really matter? Well, it's about connections. Connections matter. Connecting with other human beings at this very visceral, very personal, almost cellular level. We like to do business with, we like to hang out with and congregate with and partner with people who believe as we believe. Think about that for a minute. Who are your friends? You don't have to name them, but think about them. Who are the people you admire? Who are the people you aspire to be? Why do you like them so much? Why do you connect with the people with whom you connect? It surely isn't because you have clearly disparate concepts of how the world works. It's because you believe as they believe, and they believe as you believe. At least there's some overlap. How do you know what you believe? How do you communicate that? How do you know? You just kind of feel it, right? You can be around someone, hang out with them, you hear what they say, you watch what they do, you feel it, right? Connections matter. Connections matter in everything you do, because there's no such thing as a self-made person. Anyone who tells you this is either a liar or a megalomaniac or both. There's absolutely no possibility that I know of that anyone could be fully self-made, because you pick any successful company out there, any business guru, they had to have at least one other person in their lives. If they're selling something, who are they selling this thing to? How did they make all their gobs of money? They didn't do that by themselves, right? Does that make sense? Someone else had to choose to buy what they were selling. So they weren't completely self-made. That's a lie. Don't believe that. Human beings are social animals. We need other people. How do you find the people that you're meant to be with? You find those people who believe as you believe. This is our status quo far too often, is we have clusters of people who are on their own, doing their own little thing, silos or fragments, they're called many things, and among groups of people, there are oftentimes these huge fractures. Our society, we're not doing such a great job at the moment of working well together. believe that? How do we repair that? Well, we begin to very intentionally cultivate relationships by connecting with people who believe as we believe, and then going out, connecting with other people, and then connecting with other people, and very intentionally working to build community and connectivity. No such thing as a self-made person. Helen Keller had it right. Alone we can do very little, but together we can do a whole bunch. There's a magnification or amplification impact that happens when we get together with other people who believe as we believe. You ever been in a conversation with someone, or you're trying to brainstorm something, and you say something, and it sparks something in them, and they're like, oh yeah, and they build on your idea, or you build on theirs? Connectivity, amplification, we need that. Here's our challenge. How might we connect with other people in this manner, under a shared vision for a brighter future? How might we do that? How would you go about doing that right now? Can you communicate why it is you're here? Can you communicate what is your mission? What is your passion? Can you share that out very clearly right now, very simply? I don't know, maybe. If you can't already, then my job here's done. I'll go ahead and roll on. But I suspect that you might need a little help working through that. We connect through stories. You think about times in your lives, a friend is telling you a story, or someone is telling a story, and it's a story that kind of grabs you. You begin to connect with another human being over stories. As human beings, we tell stories all the time, and we have for many, many years. We connect with other people through hearing their stories, but the stories have to be told in a certain way. If you're only sharing the what, so what'd you do today? I went to the grocery store. Oh, that's great. The end. You get people that look at you like this. If your storytelling isn't so good, it's probably because you're not sharing any of the how and the why. You're only going with the what. My dad's a retired professor of education and taught me years ago that most people will just tell you the what. They won't teach you the how and the why. And if they can't teach you the how and the why, they probably don't understand well enough. You understand not just the what of your lives, but how and why, and can you share that out? You'll get a better look when you're telling stories than this menu here. Because great stories grab us, they hook us, they pull us in, and they keep us there. They make us engage at a really deep level so that we want to know more, and we want to do more, and we want to join people. And the stories begin with understanding core values and being able to share those out, because these stated values, these things we hold deepest, they help to inform our beliefs. And beliefs fill seats. They pull people together. Think about sporting events or concerts. These are groups of people who believe in the same manner. Why would you go to Lambeau Field in Wisconsin and survive the cold weather if you didn't believe that the Green Bay Packers were the greatest team ever, or whatever? Why would you do that? Surely isn't pleasant. Core values inform beliefs, and beliefs fuel connection. And you go from values to beliefs to action. Your values inform your beliefs inform the actions that you take. They help order your steps and tell you what to do. You may not realize it consciously, but it's rolling around in the back of your head. So the question now becomes, what's your story? It doesn't matter what my story is. You've heard a little bit of it. I'll share more of it if you're bored. But let's work on developing your story. Let me give you an example. So here's one version of the Epic Mission story. Epic Mission is a consulting firm for entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and small businesses. We work with startups, everything from the I have an idea or God called me to do something phase, to organizations that have been around a while, like a medical group or a school system or a large nonprofit. We were founded in 2013 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Came home to West Virginia in 2016. We operate throughout the Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and Midwestern United States, and we leverage a network of subject matter experts throughout all these areas so that we can serve those areas well. Since our founding, we've served over 120 clients throughout these areas. Want to hire us? I don't really see anyone jumping up saying, hey, I want to hire you right now. So that's going to tell me that that's not especially inspiring. Me telling that, I didn't really feel excited to talk about it. It's my company. I can imagine how bored you are with that. Thank you for not falling asleep yet. Give me a few minutes. Everything starts with finding a problem to rally around. And here's the problem that inspires me and that made me want to bring my company home so that we can focus more intentionally here. You may know this, or you may not, but West Virginia appears at the top of most every worst list out there, whether it's from a business standpoint or a healthcare standpoint. Forbes ranks West Virginia as the 50th worst state in which to do business. We're in the bottom 5 in household income. We've lost over 35% of coal jobs since 2011. Lots of bad things going on health-wise. High rates of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, rampant addiction. No surprise, right? You know these things. We've got young people leaving, dying, and going to jail. We believe that you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. We believe that West Virginia deserves to have thriving, resilient, hope-filled communities. So our mission is to encourage, engage, encourage, and empower entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and small businesses to be the change that we wish to see in the world. Because we have a vision for a brighter future, a future where heroes of change everywhere are equipped to move confidently in the direction of their dreams. Will you join us? I hope that felt a little different. I know it did for me. I've never had anyone tell me that when I talk about things that I'm passionate about, I've never had anyone say, man, you need to get a little more jacked up. You need to act like you care a little bit. You need to act like you've got some passion. Anyone that would ever say that might want to check their own pulse, because I know it didn't me. My hope is that you could feel this. You could feel that this is extremely important to me. I can get emotional when talking about this, because it's so important to me. Do you know what's so important to you? Can you share that out? I want to help you with that. Step 1 is to adopt a problem. You've got a worksheet with you. I want to walk you through this. If you choose to, that's okay. If you don't want to, I get it. I'll walk you through this. Take this with you. Either way, you're going to have this. And I would encourage you to go through this process again and again and again. Perfection is not a realistic human expectation, so I want to remind you of that. But everyone's got to start someplace, so I hope you'll start with this. Step 1 is to adopt a problem. What is it that you care about? What is it that keeps you up at night or gets you up in the morning? What stories do you see on the news that break your heart, make you want to cry, or make you angry, make you want to get up and go do something? What are those things? Take a couple minutes and think that through. This is your fix-it list, or your bug list. What are things that bug you? What are these things? What does this look like to you? There's no right or wrong answers. This isn't something you got to compare notes with your neighbor. There'll be time for you to talk this out, but I encourage you to take a couple minutes, because as soon as you leave this room, life happens again. And you're going to go right back to doing exactly what you've always done. Nothing changes until something changes. So my hope is that you'll take a couple minutes and enact some change in your lives by thinking very intentionally about what drives you. So please take a couple minutes and think through, what are these things that keep you up at night, make you mad, make you sad? It's very easy to get caught up on all the problems in our world. As an entrepreneur, I see problems as opportunities. These opportunities are for you an opportunity to focus yourselves, figure out how to make the world a better place. So don't get so caught up in the problems, but you do have to name them. These could be things that you personally lived through, personally experienced. It could be things that happen in your family, in your community. What are the things that trouble you the most? Could be anything. There's no wrong answers. This is what our problem is, so that you know, as an example. The problem I adopted is that I'm sick of seeing West Virginia at the top of every worst list out there. That breaks my heart, it makes me angry, and it makes me want to go out and grind every single day. So this isn't always how it's going to be. So think about what's your problem. What's your problem? Kind of a rude way to ask it. What's your problem? As you're thinking about what are these problems, after you populate the list of a couple, it doesn't have to be 10 or 15 or 20, it can be 3 or 4. Think about what is the one, because there's always one that sort of rises above the rest. What is the one that if you suddenly had unlimited resources, unlimited time, unlimited human resources, unlimited financial resources, and you could pour all of yourself into solving this one thing, what would that one thing be? What would be the one thing for you? What would be your one thing? Give you about another minute. We're going to roll on. I know that's fast. Remember, you'll have this process to take with you. Second step in the process. It's one thing to identify problems. It's another thing to flip those problems and begin to see opportunities. And to turn these opportunities into goals that give you a focus. So step 2 is to choose your goals. To think about, what is it that you want to do? You've got the instructions here. Think about, this one problem that you named, this one big thing. What would life be like if suddenly that were changed? What would that look like? And from our example, here's our goal. Here's our why. Thriving, resilient, hope-filled communities. What's yours? If you were to take that problem and flip it and turn it into an opportunity, what would that look like? Newton said every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if part of the action is the problem, what's the reaction? What would be your solution? What would that look like? How would the world be different if suddenly that problem was solved? For us, if West Virginia were no longer at the top of every worst list, we'd be cram-packed full of thriving, resilient, hope-filled communities. That's not the case right now. We have work to do. This isn't meant to be something easy that you can fix overnight. If it were easy, someone else would have already done it. Step 3 in the process is to start thinking about, who are you? What are you about? What are you good at? Maybe you've developed some new skills during your time in school. Maybe you've had some skills that you brought into college with you that you've been further developing. What are the things that you're really good at currently, or that you're working to be really great at? What are the things that people come to you and ask you for help with? What are those things? It could be anything. It could be sewing. It could be churning ice cream. Doesn't matter. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, which is the filter through which I view the world most often, any of these skills, when applied in the right way, at the right time, can be used to create awesome new things in our world. Can be used to create change. So what are those things that you're great at? You've got a list of, I think, the top 8 here. What are those things? If you're naming off more than 8 skills, then you're a superhuman, and I want to hire you right now. Take a few minutes to think about one of those things. Just like we did with the problems, we're going to start with many, and we're going to begin to whittle it down a little bit. So now it's a matter of thinking about those skills that you have. Let's say that you had an opportunity to take 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of those skills and apply them towards winning a contest where you could earn $1 million, or you could save the planet, or whatever. What are those top skills? What are your superhero skills? What are the things that you are amazing at? What are those things? Take note of those. These are ours. We're great at engaging people. We're great encouragers. And we're great at empowering other people. What do you think? Think about those things. 1, 2, maybe 3 things. What are those things? So you've found a problem that really bugs you. You've thought about what the world would look like if you're able to solve that problem, your goal. You've named some of your skills, and you've whittled down to find the things that are your superpowers. All those things are great, but if you have no vision for where you want to go, you'll never get there. So now it's time to cast a vision for the future. Think about, for example, maybe when you were a child, maybe you still do it, I don't judge. Maybe you have these visions when you close your eyes. What if you were a superhero? What if you suddenly had magical powers? If you could do anything, if you were omnipotent, what would you do? What's your vision? How would the world look as a result of your ability to make massive change? What would that look like? This is ours. We envision a future where heroes of change everywhere, where the entrepreneurs, the nonprofits, the small businesses, where Heroes of Change everywhere are equipped. Right now, they're not fully equipped. Most people that we come across, they have ideas, but they don't really know how to put them into action. They don't have the tools or resources or training or understanding or perspective to do what they really have passion to do. So our vision is a future where Heroes of Change everywhere are equipped to move confidently in the direction of their dreams, whatever those dreams are. It's their dreams, not ours. What would that look like? Okay, so at this point, I've had you walk through and begin to inventory what are your skills? What's your goal or goals? What's your vision? And now it's a matter of beginning to pull those things together and order them. And as Simon has advised us, has taught us, that we want to work from the inside out. Why, how, what? So you can lead with why. You can start with why. You'll see on the very back of your sheet is a place for you to transcribe, pull everything over from the other pages, so that you begin to pull together the pieces that you need to craft your unique story. So your why comes from the back of page 2. Your how, those are your superhero skills, and your what is your vision. So now it's a matter of pulling those things together and kind of massaging the words, putting them in the form of a sentence, a statement, so that you can build your story. And it's your story. It's not mine. It's not your friends. It's not your family's. It's yours. And it belongs to you. And we need you to understand what is your story, to embrace what is your story, to begin to tell it out and to live it out. That's how we create really strong fundamental change in our communities all across this state, all across Appalachia, our country, and our world. So once you craft your story, once you pull it together, you've got a rough draft. Anyone ever had a rough draft of a paper? Probably not so good, right? But you got to start someplace. Perfection is not a realistic human expectation, so don't put that pressure on yourselves because you'll never achieve it. Pull together your rough draft and share it with somebody. Share it with someone who's close enough to have an understanding or a feel for who you are and what you're about, but someone who's not so close that they're going to lie to you and tell you it's great. Probably don't want to tell it to your mom. I know my mom will lie to me and tell me everything I do is great, and I love her for that. Find someone that will give you critical feedback, because feedback is the breakfast of champions and you need to eat. Feedback matters, because this is important. I hope that you've seen the importance of this, that you've heard what this might sound like for you, and that you understand how this can impact you, impact other people, pull other people in, fuel connection, so that together you can do massive things in our world, because we need that. Once you get the feedback, think about it. At first, it's probably going to sting. Someone's giving you feedback and telling you something that you spent so much time and effort, something so personal to you, wasn't quite that good. Understand that, yes, the story is yours. Other people need to be able to connect with it as well. So it's as much for them as it is for you. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if they can't understand and connect with your why, you're causing them to miss out on something. Make adjustments where needed. And then rinse and repeat. Craft your story, tell it out, get feedback, and adjust as needed. This will be constant. This will be for a while. It could be ongoing. It could be through your life. I can think back to times in my life years ago where my why wouldn't be quite what it is now. That's natural. Early versions are going to be messy, and that's okay. Messy's good because that means that you started and that you put some effort into it. That's okay. You've got plenty of time to polish it up. Your story is going to change over time. This might be chapter 1 of you pulling together, catalyzing, and sharing out your story. Your life is going to change over time, and that's okay. Your story should change with it because you're going to continue to grow. You think about stages of human development. You've already gone through some of them. You're going to continue to do that. Personally, professionally, emotionally, you'll continue to go through these growth phases. Let your story grow with you. And more than anything, I challenge you to go out and be the change that we wish to see in the world, that we all wish to see in the world. I don't know anyone who's perfectly satisfied with the state of affairs in our state, in our region, in our world. I've never met anyone that said, yep, everything's perfect, because perfect isn't a realistic expectation. That doesn't mean that you can't get to work. I hope that going through this exercise has helped you maybe think of things a little differently. People ask me all the time, what do you do? Well, what I actually do is I teach people how to think differently, how to see things from different perspectives. There's all kinds of stuff that we do, but ultimately what we do at Epic Mission is we teach people how to think differently. And so I hope that through this today that you can learn how to think differently so that you can go forth and be the change we wish to see in the world. That's my challenge to you, and I won't back down. I hope that you'll accept my challenge. So here's some next steps for you to take as we're wrapping up. Continue to consider your own why. What is this? What drives you? What are you passionate about? And evaluate it honestly. Evaluate the story that you crafted. Be honest with yourselves. It's important. Make adjustments over time and seek assistance where needed. There are people around you that can help, who will help you. That's why we're here. Share your stories so that you can inspire other people. Share out this message today. Other people need to know their why. There are people that you know that I'll never get a chance to meet. They need to know this too. And again, be the change. I'm going to constantly beat that drum. Be the change. Be the change isn't think the change, isn't wish the change, isn't hope for change. It's very active, and it's about you getting up and going and doing it. Be the change. Greatness is a journey. I hope that the rest of your journey goes well. And I appreciate you allowing me to stop in for one step along your journey. I appreciate your time.
Anybody have any questions? Jeremy's clearly passionate about what he does. Any questions for him at all? Any budding entrepreneurs that just have that something you want to know? How do you get started? Anything like that?
Anybody want to give me some money? Take time narrating on this. You can reach out. Travis has my contact information. You've got the contact information on the screen. Our website is listed on the bottom of the page there. I wish you all well. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.